Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are going to be talking about the three major events that have taken place this weekend. You're going to have SUMABATO SB56 as the biggest one, coming in at an A+ tier. You have GRANDSLUM coming in at an A tier, GRANDSLUM 17 I should say, and GAMESCOM LAN X CGN Open coming in at an A tier as well. And this isn't going to be your typical recap. I'm just going to be picking like 4 or 5 players from every single tournament that I really want to talk about. So if there is anyone that I leave out throughout the course of this video, just leave a comment down below and I'll be sure to tell you about the run, but let's get right into it. So we'll start off in Europe with GamesCom LAN X CGN Open, and for your top 16 finishers, you're going to have Skwiirel, Te-shi, Rarikkusu, and Mpopo in 13th, Quick, Pew, Nader, and Raflo in 9th, Oryon and Tarek in 7th, Susu and Glutiny in 5th, Spargo in 4th, MK Big Boss in 3rd, Supahsemmie in 2nd, and Crepe salee winning the entire event. And the first player that I want to talk about is that Spargo in 4th place, because he's going to get wins over Susu, Quick, Tarek, and Glutiny throughout the course of this bracket. So it's honestly not a horrible run for Spargo. It's still 4th place at a major, but obviously when you see a player of Spargo's caliber come to an event like this, you would just expect him to win it outside of like maybe Glutiny stopping him, but he not only takes out Glutiny at this event, he loses to Supahsemmie, who played amazingly in that set. That final conversion that he got on Spargo, I don't care if the DI was bad, I don't care if Spargo maybe could have done like a frame perfect thing to get away. He was cooking there. He absolutely looked incredible throughout the course of this tournament. Ends up getting himself a 2nd place as well. We'll get to him in just a little bit, but plays exceptionally well in that set. And then MK Big Boss manages to take Spargo out at 4th place. And this is the first time that MK Big Boss has ever beaten Spargo offline, maybe online as well, but definitely offline. So that's got to be such a massive win for him. He does it against both the Cloud and the Aegis. Just huge props. Whenever MK Big Boss is in Europe, this guy is just significantly better for some reason. He also got wins on Tarek, Tapsi, and Entei at this event. It wasn't, and Susu. It wasn't like he just beat Spargo and busted out. No, he had an incredible run, got his first ever Spargo win. Massive props for that. He's got to feel amazing. And I said to talk about him in just a second. We're talking about him now. Supahsemmie, the 2nd place finisher of this event, had quite the run. He, I believe, was the 8th seed of the event, so it's not like unbelievable that he made it this far, but definitely overperforms, gets wins on Te-shi, Mpopo, and Spargo to get himself in top 8. Once in top 8, he gets a win on MK Big Boss, loses 3-0 to Crepe salee, beats MK Big Boss again, and then loses 3-0 to Crepe salee once again. So top 8 was pretty just much, hey, I got a good matchup in Rob, I got a tough matchup in Steve, hey, I got a good matchup in Rob, and then you got a tough matchup in Steve. But prior to that, you had to beat Spargo, which is like insane for you to be able to pull off. And this is just after the Illumi Rank tier list came out, where you had Toon Link being higher than Young Link on some of those tier lists, but the one where Young Link was the highest by far was Europe. He was significantly higher than Toon Link, and this guy is like the sole perpetrator for that. He is the best Young Link player in the world, at least in my opinion. He just operates at such a high level. Yeah, there's a lot of DI routes that you kind of get away with the optimal stuff for if you know how to DI against Young Link, but he's still covering those DI outs. Even if it's not the perfect combo route, he's still getting the best combo route that he can in those scenarios. Really impressive player, and I just hope we get to see him travel more. Another player I really quickly want to shout out is going to be Skwiirel, and they just had a really nice losers run with Duck. They end up losing to Pawnflex and the winner's side, and then beat Solo, the Dutch Dio, Te-shi, Speed, and Pow before losing to Pew. So you lose to Steve and Minmin as Duckin. Like, you can't feel too bad about those losses. Duckin doing really well this weekend. You obviously have Skwiirel getting this really nice run to 13th. Jagabata we'll talk about in just a bit. So just want to really quickly give them a shout for that really solid losers run. Another character that did extremely well this weekend is going to be Wolf, and at this event you have Oryon making top 8. He gets a nice win over Quick before falling to Tarek, then beats Pakshlash, Tapsi, and Nader in a 3-1. But he doesn't beat Nader with Wolf, he beats Nader with Dr. Mario, and I honestly love Dr. Mario as a solution to Pichu, because obviously offstage you're just going to die like in a second, but Pichu, very light character. Dr. Mario hits like a truck. Down throw down B would like actually just explode you at 60% near the ledge. Up B is going to be a massive kill option back here. It's just like actually super easy to explode Pichu. And also, Oryon's Dr. Mario is nasty. Like, this isn't just a random pick. I'm sure most of you know at this point, but he goes crazy with that character. Ends up winning all 3 games against Hater, getting into the top 8. And then once in top 8, runs into Susu. Tries Snake in the first game, doesn't end up working out. No Dr. Mario in this set. I guess, you know, maybe Steve isn't the matchup where he actually excels, but, you know, he does have Cape against Minecart. Maybe look into that one, Dr. Mario players. But regardless, ends up losing that one 3-0, mainly with the Wolf. But still, really solid run from Oryon, and he's one of 2 players to get top 8 this weekend with Wolf. And really quickly, before we move on to the next event, you got to shout out Crepe for taking the entire thing. No sets dropped. He's going to get a 3-1 win over Jaibi, 3-1 over Raffle. Raffle's Game Watch, I should mention. 3-0 over Glutzny, and then 3-0 over Supahsemmie 2 times. His closest set was actually against Sevi, who manages to take him to Game 5 with Sephiroth and Sonic against Rob and Wario, which I thought was super interesting. You actually had Crepe getting more value out of the Rob in this tournament than he did from the Wario. Obviously, Steve doing like 95% of the work, but just thought that was interesting to point out. Moving on to GRANDSLUM 17, you're going to have Mion, Dynamite, Tomi, and Fruit Ramen in 13th. You're going to have Yoshiku, Sumaho, Gachapi, and Alice in 9th. Te-shi and Yone-pi in 7th, Shion and Carmelo in 5th, Tsubaki in 4th, Rarikkusu in 3rd, Toraguri in 2nd, and winning the entire thing was Masha. And I want to talk about that 13th place Isabel in Furara Ramen, who ends up getting a 2-0 win over Roki, 3-1 win over Tsubaki. And I feel like the matchup would be like really difficult for Isabel just because of gun and down B. I don't really know how she would like deal with those tools super well in the neutral, but clearly Furara Ramen manages to do so. Loses game 5 to Te-shi. Can't feel too bad about that one considering the run that he had. And gets a 3-1 win over level 1, which I feel like is insane. Like, you could definitely use Pocket in that matchup, but you're still fighting against a Sword of Young Link, and level 1 has also been, or Toon Link, I should say, and level 1 has also just been amazing recently. And then finally, he's going to end up losing 3-1 to Gatsby. But to make a run to 13th place at a major, even if it's not the most stacked major in the world, with Isabel in 2025, I feel like is crazy. This is like a bottom 10, bottom 5 character in some people's minds. Yeah, you have an infinite, but that's kind of it. And the infinite is really hard to hit. Obviously, I'm kidding. But for our men, amazing run for them to 13th place. If they can continue to push this character, I will be amazed. And I'm not going to lie to y'all, I really just want to talk about the top 4 of this event, but I do really quickly want to mention Te-shi. I believe that's how you pronounce it. He ends up getting 7th place with Solo Samus as the 46th seed. So really nice run from him. Ends up getting a nice Game 5 upset over Yone-pi. Loses 3-0 to Shion, but then 3-0s Daigoru, 3-0s Dynamite, and goes 3-2 against Alice, managing to take him down in a Game 5 with an upset factor of 7. That is one of the top seeds of the event. So massive props to him for that one, and then it ends up losing to Tsubaki in a Game 5 as well, though definitely held their own. But really nice run. As the 46th seed to make top 8 is pretty crazy. So let's get into this top 4, starting off with Tsubaki. And as I mentioned earlier, he ends up getting upset by man. If you're paying attention, which you should be, that's pretty early on in the bracket. So he has to make a monstrous losers run to get himself to this 4th place, which he ends up doing. He gets a 3-1 win over Toti, 3-1 win over Gaosan, Game 5 win over Leaf, Game 5 win over Mion, manages to 3-0 Yoshiko, so little bit of an easier one there, but then Game 5 over Te-shi, Game 5 over Carmelo, and then loses a Game 5 to Rarikkusu, where he takes 2 games over the Donkey Kong, but loses 1 game against the DK, and then loses 2 games against the Falco. But what a loser's run from Tsubaki. He wins, I think it's 7 sets. Yeah, 7 sets in a row here in the loser side. Upset factor of 5 over Carmelo, as well as the 2nd seed of the event. So amazing from him. Really just incredible. Tsubaki is one of those players where you really never know how he's going to perform, because the way that he plays the game is just so high maintenance. Like, the gun control that this guy has and the way that he moves around is not easy to do. In fact, it is very hard to do, and he's very deliberate with all of his movements. He's thinking about all this stuff. Sometimes that can lead to overthinking, which gets you upset by a player that's just going to be running in against you. So sometimes it bites against you. This time, absolutely did not. Tsubaki's elegance got him to this top 4. He played amazing. Massive shouts to the losers run. The best one of the weekend. In 3rd place, you're going to have Rarikkusu. And for anyone in NA that's maybe been living under a rock, doesn't know who this guy is, this is the Donkey Kong player that ended up beating Spargo. And then after that, he's like, what if I played a real character? Picked up Falco. All of a sudden, he's the best Falco player in the world. And he is the best Falco player in the world. I do stand behind that one. In fact, he was the 1st seed of this event. It's no surprise to see him in this top 3. He ends up getting 3-1 wins over Marcos and Yone-pi, 3-0 over Yoshiko to get into top 8. Once in top 8, he loses a Game 5 to Toraguri, goes 3-1 over Shion, 3-2 over Tsubaki, and then loses 3-0 to TG. So TG had his number in this bracket, but something that I think is really interesting about Rarikkusu is he still brings out the Donkey Kong, except only on PS2, as far as I can tell. Maybe just like from this one turn that he happened to only do it on PS2. But what the stage data is showing in his sets against Shion and his sets against Tsubaki, he would just go Falco, and then when PS2 would come out, no matter how successful he was in the last game with the DK or not, the Donkey Kong would be out on that stage, and he would be going for those ding-dongs. And I gotta say, he's really good at finding those ding-dongs, but he's even better at finding, like, any confirm that Falco has with like a down air or an up tilt or a down tilt or a grab. This guy is so precise. He's so fast. He's so aggressive. He's everything that you want from a top level Falco player. And I think he is only going to improve. Definitely have this guy on your radar. In second place, you're going to have Toraguri, who has done it again with Banjo and Kazooie. Second place out of Major is unbelievable. He's going to get a 3-2 win over Furararamen, 3-1 win over Alice, Game 5 win over Rarikkusu, loses in a Game 5 to Masha, gets a 3-0 win over Rarikkusu in the run back, but in his run back against Masha, he only wins one game. But second place with solo Banjo is unbelievable, and I truly believe that Toraguri has gaslit people into thinking Banjo is like an okay character. This character is still really, really bad. Wonder Wing, crazy tool. Obviously, Wonder Wing is very strong because it basically just allows you to either have a kill confirm that kills at 80% or a free recovery. But it's how you use Wonder Wings that kind of defines a good Banjo player from a great Banjo player. And the best Banjo player, Toraguri, is getting maximum usage out of pretty much every single Wonder Ring that he is putting out. And obviously there are other aspects as well. How are you using grenades? Are you able to have your neutral B confirms on point? And Toraguri's are always on point. He actually gets so much value out of that move, way more than I think he should be in pretty much every single matchup that he is playing. But it's all the little things that Toraguri does so well at Banjo-Kazooie that takes this character to the top level. But even if one of those aspects was missing from his play, you would see a significant, I guess, declination in skill. This character relies on all of his tools to be working together at maximum capacity, or he just doesn't work at all. And our big winner of GRANDSLUM 17 is going to be Masha. And I want to address that this was definitely a bit of an unconventional event because most modern Smash Ultimate events are defined by their top players. If you're a major, you want to have like 10 or 20 top 50 players showing up, 5 top 10 players, top 20 players if you can get them. You want your event to be super top heavy because those are the people that are going to give you points. Those are the people that are going to get you watch time. And those are the players that if they get upset, it's a really big deal. And it makes a difference in the rankings. It matters on the major scale. And events like GRANDSLUM 17, they really just don't happen in modern day Smash Ultimate. And I think because of that, people are like, this isn't a major event. This isn't what a major is. But a major is just if enough high-level good competition is showing up. That's what defines a major. It's off the points that the players are given. And an event like GRANDSLUM 17 just doesn't happen in NA because there aren't enough high-level players to just show up and make it a major event without someone like Light or Tweak or Zomba coming through. But in Japan, you have that 250 to 50 range just showing up in droves. So many of their high-level to almost top-level players showing up. And it doesn't matter if they perform or not. They're at a major event. The average level of play here is crazy high. So maybe to like actually win the event itself in the grand finals, it's a little bit different than winning your typical major, but to get into that top 8, to make a deep run at this event, it's still very, very impressive. But let's actually talk about Masha now. As the 11th seed of the event, he comes with Wolf's first ever solo major win. Pretty unbelievable. He's got a 3-0 win over Tomi, 3-0 over Dynamite, then 3-2 over Shion, 3-2 over Carmelo, 3-2 over Toraguri, and 3-1 over Toraguri in the grand finals. And Masha has always been one of those hidden talent players in Japan. And it's honestly, like, not surprising at all that he ends up winning that event, especially an event like this. As I mentioned, no top 25 players in attendance, and Masha just looked fundamentally better than everyone that was showing up. He was playing footsies against people. He was dancing around them. His usage of just going in and out of combat, using mobility as a defensive option was so impressive. And I don't know if this was, like, specifically against Carmelo and Steve, but he was getting so much value with his down B and his side B as well, just using side B as a call-out and a confirmed tool, something that is very valuable. You're absolutely going to see Wolf players start to do that more. And it's not like Wolf players have never been doing this, but I think this is going to need to be something where it's like every game or every second game, you need to start seeing Wolf Flash get a kill, and you just start seeing up B out of shield get value. Like, you didn't really see Masha get a lot of value out of up B out of shield. This is something that I always harp on for the Wolf players, though. If you've watched this channel for a while now, you know. But he was getting a lot of value out of side B. He was doing some of that more intense Wolf stuff, and I do believe that the reason that he won this event was because fundamentally he was just better than everyone else. But I think in the future, if he wants to continue finding that success, it is going to be with pushing Wolf as a character. And I don't honestly think that this is going to be the last that we see of Masha. If he continues to show up to events, he is absolutely going to be a top player. It really is just a consistency thing for him for actually going to these majors. But really hope that we get to see more of Masha, because I know he's going to continue succeeding, and I know he's going to continue pushing this character. Really quick, I just want to say that was Masha's first event of 2025, by the way. And we are now on to our final tournament of the weekend, the biggest tournament of the weekend, SUMABATO SP56. For your top 13 finishers, you're going to have Elon, Suna, Ryuo, and Alice in 13th, Maido, Furaramen, Ryo-pi, and Aka in 9th, Leaf and Shion in 7th, Kuhaku and Mildano in 5th, Shirayuki in 4th, Jagabata in 3rd, Yone-pi in 2nd, and winning the entire thing, you had Raru. And really quickly, I just want to mention these things, but don't want to give them full segments. Furaramen, also crazy run at this event, ends up getting 9th place. Now, he did use Gamma Watch against Ryu-pi, so I am going to take away that solo Isabel badge. And I honestly think the run at the other event was more impressive, just considering the wins that he got. But picks up wins on Uwame and Aiba here, as well as Ryu-pi. But again, doesn't really count. It was non-Isabel. Like, is it even a real win at that point? But still, 9th place and 13th place at major events this weekend. Amazing for the Isabel player. And then there was a massive upset by Ton, the Wolf flavor, over Rocky, the 2nd seed of the event. It had an upset factor of 13. He was the 130th seed. I just haven't seen an upset factor of 13 in quite some time. So big shout out to Ton for that massive upset, and big shout out to Furaramen for the amazing weekend. And I'm not gonna lie, pretty much every single run I care about at this event happened in the top 8, starting off with our 7th place finisher of Leaf, who's gonna pick up a 3-1 win over both Showers and Navy before falling to Yone-pi, 3-1 as well. Then they beat Celestia 3-1, but it ends the 3-1s here with this Game 5 win over Alice, as well as a Game 5 win over Maido to get themselves into top 8, where they then run into Mildano, which I actually don't know what that matchup would be like, but I feel like it would be in DK's favor because it's one of the few matches where DK's advantage state might be better than Robin's. DK can actually make the space on Robin, run that character down, and the advantage state was absolutely insane from the Gorilla. But really nice run here from Leaf. He's been the best Robin player for quite some time at this point, but this is probably the best run that he's had definitely in a while now, getting top 8 at a major event like this, picking up some really nice wins. Specifically, the wins on Alice and Navy really impressed me. Those are some players that were having an amazing 2024 year, and they're looking to continue it in 2025. At least Alice has 2 pretty solid placements at major events this week, and didn't get top 8 at either of them, but didn't do bad at either of them either. So, amazing run from Leaf. Top 8 at a major with Robin in 2025 is not something that I would believe in unless I saw it with my own eyes. And in 5th place, you're going to have not 1, but 2 Steve players in Kuhaku and Mildano. And you do have Kuhaku using Steve, but it's majority DK from him at this event. He uses it in a losing effort to Jagabata and Raru, and then he does use it in the final 2 games against Ryuo to get the dub over him, which is his most impressive win of the event. Big props to him for getting that upset. Ryuo is the best Diddy Kong player in Japan, but he uses all DK for a 3-2 win over Yamadi, a 3-0 over Elon, and a 3-1 win over Maido. So massive props to him for the run. And then his other 5th place finisher is also a Donkey Kong player in Mildano, who uses solo DK this time around, getting a 3-1 win over MZK, Alice, and Asuna. Loses a Game 5 to Jagabata, gets a 3-1 win over Ryo-pi, and then a 3-0 win over Leaf before falling to Shirayuki. So 2 DK players in 5th place is absolutely crazy. You know, looking back at that Japanese tier list, I could definitely see why they had DK towards the higher end, especially higher than every other region. Donkey Kong's advantage state is just so absurdly strong. I feel like he's really the best definition of a glass cannon character that we have in this game, and there's the Pichu player who got 2nd place at this event because you hit DK one time and you just keep him in the advantage state for ever. He literally never gets out. Potentially the worst disadvantage state in the game. He's also a massive body, but when he hits you, you also never get out of the disadvantage state. You're getting hit by up airs, these massive back airs, up tilt, forward tilt, just these huge tilt hitboxes, and then you want to shield up, you want to be safe, and you get grabbed and ding-donged at like 60%. DK is definitely a character that you can make work, but to make him work all the way to top 8 is a whole other level of impressive. In 3rd place, you're going to have Jagabata, which is insane. 3rd place at an A+ tier with solo Duck Hunt is like actually unbelievable. He has a Game 5 win over Avaru and Steve Duck Hunt, which I feel like would be a really, really difficult matchup for the character. 3-1 win over Raru with an upset factor of 11. Definitely the upset of the weekend. A Game 5 win over Mildano. A 3-0 win over Kuhaku. 2 games against the Steve. 1 game against the Donkey Kong player to get himself into the winners finals with Duck Hunt. Have to hit that point home. And then he has a 3-0 loss to Yone-pi and a Game 5 loss to Raru, with Raru actually pulling off the reverse 3-0 with the Luigi. We'll talk about that when we talk about him. But 3rd place from Jagabata, solo Duck Hunt. That is like unbelievable. And Duck Hunt's one of those characters where it's not like Duck Hunt's like horrible, unviable. You still have some really solid things, like can is pretty good. Disc is insane. Like, the Frisbee Disc is one of the better moves in this game. People just really don't know how to fully utilize it. And confirming out of that, you get stuff like up air, down air. Those are solid hits, yes, but you also have a horrible recovery. You get boxed out a majority of the time. You absolutely get smothered. And I just don't know how Jagabata actually managed to get himself this far into the tournament. Like, to beat Steve and to beat Min Min as well from Raru. Like, I know it's his secondary Min Min, but to still beat it, I feel like that matchup is, like, impossible for Duckun, but Jagabata managed to overcome. And who knows? Maybe all these matchups are actually free for Duckun. He actually farms Steve. He actually farms Min Min. This is just a free bracket. Got 2 Donkey Kong players, but even with the easiest Duck Hunt bracket in the world, it's still Duck Hunt in 2025. You're putting in way more work with this character than your opponent likely is, and you're getting like a third of the result. But Jagabata managed to pull through, and man, what a run. In second place, you're going to have Yone-pi, and we almost had Solo Pichu win a major in 2025, which would have been actually so crazy. Like, it's not unbelievable to think that Pichu could win a major, but you just have to peak at the right time. And let me tell you, Yone-pi was peaking at this event. He's got a 3-0 win over Suzune, 3-1 over Kananabe, 3-1 over Leaf, 3-1 over Aka, 3-1 over Shiryuki, and 3-0 over Jagabata to get himself grand finals. Had not even been taken to game 5 by the time he got to this Grands. And unfortunately for him, there's this guy called Raru who's pretty good at the game, ends up showing up in the Grand Finals, and he does take that victory away from him. But still, second place at an event like this with Solo Pichu is just so impressive. And I gotta give Yone-pi his flowers because he's just been so consistent with Pichu of all characters. Like, this should be the least consistent character in the game. And I know I say this all the time, like, oh, Ice Climbers is the most volatile character in the game. Actually, it's Hero because RNG, but like, it should be Pichu. And Yone-pi does have bad placements from here and now. Like, he doesn't do amazing at Genesis, but, you know, also it's Genesis. But the peaks that this guy is able to hit and the amount that he hits them is just so impressive to me. Even if it's not every single tournament he shows up to, he's getting top 8. It's like every 3rd or 4th tournament that he is showing up to. He's always a major threat. He's always someone that could take you out if you're in his bracket path. And he's just a really scary player. But our big winner of SUMABATO SP56 was the guy that you expected to win it, Raru. But you didn't expect it to win it in the fashion that he did. I think I said earlier that Tsubaki had the best losers run of the weekend. I forgot about Raru's losers run. Raru definitely had the best losers run, winning 9 sets in a row after being upset by Jagabata. And prior to that, he had beaten Lappy and Sabaton as well. So he already had a couple decent wins under his belt, but gets upset by Jagabata and then goes through the gauntlet in the loser side. He 3-0s Kananabe, 3-0s Suna, 3-0s Raramen that to get himself into top 8. Once in top 8, he 3-1 Shion, 3-1s Kuhaku, even brings out the Mario in that set against Kuhaku. Now, it doesn't end up taking a game, but I like that he brought it out. 3-1 against Shiryuki. Game 5 against Jagabata, goes Min Min in the first 2 games, doesn't end up working out, goes Luigi, wins, and then 3-1 in both sets in Grand Finals, all Luigi. And Rare was the heavy favorite for this event. It's not surprising that he won, but the loser's run that he pulls off to win it is absolutely insane. And I also really like that Rare was kind of trying other characters at this event because I think Luigi, at this point, he's convinced me that Luigi's not a bad character. Like, Luigi's definitely a very good character. Your damage output is just way too high, and your recovery is not as bad as it is made out to be. But I still don't think it's a bad idea to have secondaries for a character like Luigi. He is still definitely towards the higher end of volatility in this cast. And I think picking up a secondary like Mario, like Min Min, is amazing for Raru. Even if he's not finding success with them right away, just slowly integrating them into his play, getting more comfortable with them in tournament, especially at a tournament like this, I think is really, really smart from him. Big fan of him utilizing his other characters, even if they found no value at this event, just trying them out so they're more tournament ready. So when he does need them, they can come in clutch. I think that's just really, really smart from him. And obviously he won. So massive props to him for winning this event. I believe this is his first major win of the year, many to come. And with that, I thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the sport. It's been absolutely unreal as of late. If there's anything I left out, got wrong, or if you just want to say hi, leave a comment down below. Be sure to sub while you're down there, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.